Georgia. I reside in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to Concord Christian Center. I just want to give a little background about myself. Growing up in the country, I call it the country. In Tifton, Georgia, it's not a lot of city, it's more so country. Bad neighborhoods, poverty, drugs, alcohol, surrounded by so many negative things or whatever. And to grow up in that type of environment, it can make it kind of hard to make the best decisions. So if I was to speak to the youth now, I would just say it doesn't matter where you come from, what you do. Just try to put yourself in a positive light. You gotta see way ahead of your now, and you have to make steps, leaps, and bounds to make sure that you can complete every goal that you want to. You know what I mean? You have to have, I used to tell my kids all the time, there's a need, there's a want, then there's a will, there's a want to. So you gotta have the will and the want to be successful in this life. I've overcome so many obstacles in my life, being surrounded by such negativity. I had great parents that instilled so much into me through my beliefs, my faith, through just encouraging me that I can do anything. You know, I had people in my neighborhood tell me, you can do this, you can do that. And you also gonna have those people that they call haters. And those haters are put in this position to do their job. Their job is to hate. You have to take that and you have to transfer that energy into the positive. And so how you do that? Stay in your books. You believe in God, you gotta talk to him, you gotta pray, you gotta read your Bible, you gotta walk into the light. You gotta walk in, make sure that light that surrounds you stays bright. Because you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's not about your now. It's about then, going forward. So my encouragement to you all, middle schoolers, high schoolers, whoever may hear this, that you can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens you. Salute.
Hey y'all, kings and queens. My name is Danielle Delane. I'm originally from a small town, Greenville, Alabama. I now reside in Morrow, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta. I am married with 2 children. I graduated from Auburn University, and I'm now pursuing my theater career, which is what I majored in while in school. My childhood was also somewhat troubled. I was molested when I was 11, had my first sexual encounter or lost my virginity when I was 14. So I just want to stand here today to encourage you all to just don't be afraid to express yourselves at an early age. Don't be afraid to stand up for what you know is right, even though you may be young. Don't be influenced by what somebody else says that you should be doing. In today's world, is so much information that we have access to, and we can easily compare ourselves, even as adults, to what the world says we should be and what the world says we should be doing. But enjoy your youth. Don't try to grow up too fast. Don't try to get involved with adult things too fast, because the world is saying, oh, you got to do this by the time you're a certain age. I just want to encourage you all to follow your dreams. Repeat positive affirmations to yourself now while you're young. You are great. You will be great. You will do great things. You will be successful. And to the young ladies, especially from my experience, I just want to encourage you, suggest if you're coming from a single parent background like I came from, it's important that you speak up. Don't be afraid to talk to an adult and tell them, this is going on in your life about serious situations, because some kids don't have that opportunity to go to an adult and tell them what's going on with themselves. So if any opportunity presents itself where you can talk to somebody about anything that may be troubling you, please tell an adult. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself. You all are fearfully and wonderfully made. Don't allow what the world is saying about what you should be doing be your goal or your path. Follow God's word. Stay in the church. Stay in the Bible, because this is going to be what sets your foundation for you as an adult. So just keep yourselves rooted and grounded in the word and stay on the right path, because it's all about legacy building. When you're young now, but when you become adults, you want your children and their children to have something to look back on and say, somebody set this up for me. Now I can take the torch and take it to my kids. So just stay positive. Don't listen to the negativity, and just be great, because that's what you are.
Hello everyone, my name is Terrell Leon. Born in San Diego, California, raised in a small town in Alabama. I grew up in a small town where I dealt with a lot of racial diversities. Going from one place to another at a young age, dealing with racism within school, within different movements of life that made me want to move back to California. In life, you're going to deal with a lot of things that might come your way, but you have to stand still and know that you can make it through it. Sometimes you have to go through something to get to something. Don't be too in a hurry to grow up. That was my thing. I had this view in my mind that I didn't want to listen to nobody. I wanted to be grown, some people say. But I heard a little voice in my head say that you're never grown until I call you home. Meaning that being grown is the end thereof. The definition of grown. So every day should be a day of growth. Every day should be a day of learning. Remember that you are the light of the world. No weapon formed against you shall prosper unless you allow it to. There are many things that you might go through in life that you might not feel that you can handle by yourself. And that's when you might need to go get some help here, get some help there. There might be things that might have happened to you in your childhood that you just never understood, but you feel that you need help. Take the time, go get therapy. Work through some of the family issues that were never dealt with in your past. They're called, we call them family, or what would we call them? We call them family circumstances that you might have went through or your family went through that passes on to you as a child, and you don't want to continue that same thing in life. So what you have to do is take your mindset and change it for the better of yourself and for your future, your kids, those that might come behind you. Take the time to be a blessing to someone. I've learned in life that it is a blessing to be a blessing. Help those that you can help. I know that you can't help everybody, but if there's somebody out there that you can touch, you can help, please take that time to do it. Thank you very much. Have a blessed one.
Hey y'all. My name is Nakia Nicole Lawrence. I am born and raised Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from McDonough, Georgia. Graduated from Jackson State University. I received my theater degree from there, and I recently received my master's degree in theater from Regent University. And I'm a full-time actress. My advice to everyone, not just females, but everyone, is to be kind, because you never know what someone is going through. A simple, hey, how are you, could change someone's entire day, entire life. So just always remain kind and nice, because you never know what just a simple hello and a simple smile can do to change someone's life. Another thing I would say that you all should do is to take your health into consideration, and start now. Even though you're like, oh, I'm a teenager, I can do what I want, I can eat what I want. But if you keep doing things like eating bad, or you may be trying to drink stuff or doing stuff you're really not supposed to do, take that stuff into consideration, because that can have an effect on you when you become an adult. For instance, I'm 33 years old and I'm a heart attack survivor and triple bypass surgery survivor. So, with that being said, if I was told this at that age, then it may have been a difference of what I went through last year. So just keep your health up, keep a relationship with God, pray, be nice to people. And there you go. Thank you.
How y'all doing, C3? So, I'm gonna give you a quick condensed version of my story. I wanna give y'all some encouragement real quick. Hopefully one day, if God blesses me to come back to y'all, I'll be able to speak it entirely. So, I come from a small town called Piqua, Ohio. It's a real tiny town, not a lot of people in it. Something like similar where I live now. I relocated now to Conyers, Georgia. Growing up, I was really, really shy. I didn't want to be in front of the crowd. I didn't want to do a lot of things where people was going to be, because I was always nervous and I always thought I wasn't good enough. I always thought I could never amount to anything, because I always used to get made fun of when I was younger too. But you see, as I continue to grow older, I continue to knock down these barriers and these walls that I kept finding myself in. And as I got older, as a lot of people experience, sadly, my parents got divorced. And I don't know if anybody in here that is hearing this and listening has ever went through that. But I want to let you know and encourage you that you are not the cause. You are not the reason. Just because they split, they have their own issues, they have their own problems. They still love you, and I promise you that you were the biggest blessing and the biggest love that they've ever had in their life. You were the best gift that God has ever given them. So, this is not cliche. This is not your mom or your dad speaking. I'm a complete stranger. And I know sometimes we hearing things from our parents, we think that that doesn't count. Oh, mom, dad, you gotta say that. Well, I'm here to tell you that I genuinely care about each and every one of you. I genuinely love and have a love, an agape love for every single one of you. God has that same love for you, but his is much greater than what I can give. I'm just a resource of him. So anything you continue to go through in life, anything you find yourself in, any circumstance, any maybe bullies that you experience as you continue to get older, you just have to realize and know that you find yourself in him. Because Christ says that once we are found in him, then we are truly found. He is our creator, he is our maker, and we are just one of his children down here living this life. And we get to continue to go through life and be an inspiration to every single person that we meet. A quick journey through faith. Like I said, now I live in Conyers, Georgia. God sent me on a mission to go down to Georgia. Little did I know 7 months in I would go homeless. I ended up going homeless on a mission that God told me to do. That sounds crazy, don't it? Sometimes when we move in the ways that God has called us to, and when we are aligned with the Father, there's going to be things that we may not understand. There's going to be things that we go through that doesn't make sense. But I remember almost a year in, I ended up going and praying to God. And I asked him, because I was ready to give up. I was ready to throw in the towel. I said, God, if this is not what you want anymore, tell me, because I'm ready to go back home. But I didn't want to run. I wanted to run with God, because I lived a life before that I ran from him for a long time. And it did not bring me any peace. It did not bring me any joy. It only continued to bring me more depression, more anxiety, and more fear. But see, as soon as I said the prayer and I said, God, let me know, he instantly dropped the life of Saul that was later came Paul onto my life. And he let me know and let me realize that every single one of those people that was truly riding for God back in the day, the disciples and the people that continue to be birthed through the love of Christ, is that they technically were homeless. They were continuing sojourning through the land, and God would tell them, once you arrive to these certain places, if these people don't welcome you, all you have to do is continue on your journey. That goes to tell me that they had no set spot. They were on a journey for Christ, a journey for God, and they had to continue to find their love, find their need, find what they needed in God, and he continued to supply it. So, when I heard that, obviously, that wasn't the answer I wanted. I was ready to pack up and head back home. But I knew my mission was still here in Georgia. And as I continue to go through and continue to press and continue to prime, I want to tell you the power of prayer. when I was living in a car all around Georgia. You ever come into Georgia, you find yourself in any Walmart in Atlanta or Metro Atlanta, I've slept in it. I've been in every parking lot. And I started to pray, and I prayed to God, and I said, God, this is the type of house that I want. I know I'm sent here from you. I know I'm a child of God. I know that I have been in alignment with you. I know I did not make a mistake. I know what you called me to. So as I continued to pray, I told him the type of floors I wanted in the house. I told him how many rooms I wanted in the house. I told him what I wanted the front yard to look like. I told him what I wanted the backyard to look like. I told him I wanted a hallway. I told him what kind of kitchen I wanted. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you, as I continued to pray, I went on a fast. Jesus tells us some things don't come except through fasting and prayer. Fasting, if you are a believer of God, that should be a normal thing in your life. And if you don't know what fasting is yet, it is basically where you just give up something you love for a short time. And in that time when you would be occupying yourself with that, you replace it with time with God. And now I know you might be thinking, what in the world was you fasting from? You ain't had nothing, you was in the car. Listen, you will make a way when there needs to be made a way. So I continue to go on that fast. 2 weeks after the fast, I get a call from a random person I met in Georgia. And they said, hey, you still looking for a place? And I looked around in my big room I had at all 4 doors, and I said, yeah, I still need one. And they said, hey, we actually got something for you. I just had an old landlord of mine call me asking if they needed or knew somebody that had to have a place. And I thought of you. And ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you, I had to go into another section. I was able to get into a 4-month home. That was absolutely terrible. That's another story I'll tell you about. But as I waited, because now God made the promise again, I go and I get to the house and I move in December. And the house is literally exactly everything I prayed for in detail. From the floors to the front yard, the backyard, the kitchen, the amount of rooms, every single thing was what I needed and what I wanted. And I'm here to tell you, and I want to share that with you because your prayer life is your key to everything. The Bible is amazing. Read it. We need it. But your direct source to God is the prayer life that you're either lacking, you don't have, or that you're working on. And consistency gets the victory. So make sure you don't just have a prayer life where you pray all day long, you pray in the car, you pray on the way to the game, you pray while you're going home. You have to absolutely set aside a specific intimate time, whether it's in the morning or it's at the night before you go to sleep. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour, but you really get in the presence of God. You really speak with Jesus. And I promise you, any of you that struggle with the depression and struggle with the anxiety, it will be taken away from you, because when you stay in the presence of God, all the things of God will be with you. And that means anything that is contrary of God cannot survive. So you must have the intimate relationship with Jesus. That is the biggest key I can pass on to you right now. And I encourage you to stick with God, stay with God, no matter what it looks like, no matter what your age is. There was the one story I'll share with you before I get off of here, is that the story of King David. King David was somebody that was looked down upon. King David was somebody that was the youngest brother. He didn't get any type of anything that he deserved. He was put out in the field. He had to go and tend to the animals. And the man one day came to him searching for a king. And they passed by every single one of his brothers. And they said, nope, that's not the one. Nope, that's not the one. Sir, do you have any other sons? And he said, well, I got one, but I don't know what you're going to do with him. And he said, bring him to me. And then the man went back and got the son. And he ended up going and saying, that's the king. That's the one we need. But the biggest trial is the wait. It's being patient. Because King David was anointed and blessed to be a king. But then he went back to serve 20 plus years in the field. Listen, you're going to be overlooked day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, sometimes for decades. But you literally have greatness in you. You have supernatural abilities in you. And then King David, 20 plus years later, walked into being the king. The people that used to look down on him, the people that used to say he was no good and wasn't going to be anything, he now is the head, and he's not just the head, he is the leader, and he reigns over everything. So be encouraged. It doesn't matter what anybody's tried to say negative about you. You don't have to accept it. You just have to realize that God has built you for greater. God has built you for something amazing. And the only way you're going to get it is when you continue to go through it. Because it's not how you come up, it's how you end up. God bless y'all. Appreciate you.